Octavia did it again.
If it wasn't for Tony, oh.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I have another review. This time it's on the limited series that just came out on Netflix. It's titled Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker. And I gotta tell you, I was so excited when this came out because I don't know what it is. And tell me if y'all agree, but growing up, I always had a fascination with like the 1800s, the 1900s, and things like that. Especially like black culture and black life back then in them times. Like looking at old photographs, seeing how they lived, how they dressed, how they did their hair, how their houses looked, things like that. I always had a fascination. And I remember in grade school, Madam C.J. Walker, she was one of the first like black women in that time era, learning about being like a self-millionaire, hair products and things like that. And that story always interested me, and I was always fascinated by it. So fast forward to now, I heard that Netflix was making a series about it, and it was starring Octavia Spencer. It was like a perfect combination. So I said, I gotta do this review. There was many things I enjoyed. There were some things that were a little iffy to me, but overall, I really enjoyed it. Let's get into it. The cast stars Octavia Spencer as Madam C.J. Walker, Tiffany Haddish plays her daughter, Blair Underwood plays the husband, and Carmen Ejogo plays her like nemesis / competitor, Addie. I'm happy to see how far Octavia Spencer has really come from being, you notice back then, all the way back then, Octavia Spencer, she was like really a side character, a supporting character. She was like an extra in so many movies and shows. You look up her resume, her filmography, she got so many credits, but most of it was background acting. So to see her over the years really transform herself as an actor, as a talent, into the forefront, it's been really exciting to see how far she has come. And I felt like I couldn't think of no other actress, of her caliber that was more perfect for this role. So getting into the story, it talks about Madam C.J. Walker and how she started off as a washerwoman, and it's really like a rag to riches story. Her come up, how she went from a washerwoman, she had a really bad hair problem and bald spots and things like that, to where Addie knocked on her door selling her products, and it gets into the story of how using Addie's products really helped her hair grow, and it really helped her hair growth, and it made her feel more confident in herself. Somewhere along the line, she thought of a good idea. Madam C.J. Walker, she was like, I can sell these products too. But this is where I love how the movie played into how colorism existed even back then. Also feminism, but I'm gonna get into that later. But the colorism of how Addie was like, Addie Monroe, she was like, oh no. Like she didn't like Octavia's look. She didn't like Madam C.J. Walker's look. Addie Monroe was tall, slender, light-skinned with the long hair, what most men would go for. Every time she walked by, men turned their heads. The shorter, thicker, fatter, black, darker-skinned woman. So she didn't really want Madam C.J. Walker selling her products. She had other girls that looked like her, the young, light-skinned, ambiguous-looking girls selling her stuff. That's what she wanted to sell her products. And she was really, in the beginning, really trying to convince her, like, I could do this. But she just wasn't seeing the vision. So it goes into the story of how eventually she took some on the side without her knowing, sold it, was successful, tried to come back and say, look, I did it. And Addie Monroe took it as like her stealing and this and that, even though she was willing to give her the money. And I was like, damn, really? Like, she helped her self-esteem by making her hair grow and make her feel beautiful. And then she was just like, okay, but I can help your hair grow, but that's all you'll ever be. I can help your hair grow, but you'll never be more than a washerwoman. Like, don't get too ahead of yourself. Like, that's the type of attitude Addie Monroe was giving Madam C.J. Walker. And Madam C.J. Walker was like, all right, I'm going to show you. So then she went on, tried to make her own products. She, trial and error. And eventually she came up with a formula. If you know what I mean. She came up with a formula that worked. And throughout the movie, I really love how you can see like Octavia Spencer has this way, she has this command with her facial expressions and the way she talks. And I love how Octavia Spencer can take you through the motions. She can make you really feel like she can really put on that. She can really take you through the motions like she's insecure at one point. But then when she has to be, when she needs to be, she can be quick with it. She can be sassy. She can tell it like it is. She can be full of confidence. I love how Octavia Spencer really plays to those emotions, and you can really see it in her facial expressions. I love that about Octavia Spencer. And I really feel like Octavia should get an Emmy nomination for this because she was really amazing in this. And not only did she did this to benefit herself, because once her business was booming, she wanted to help others. She wanted to help other black women get in positions. She wanted to help other women build their brand and get into entrepreneurship and being self-starters, being independent, not relying on a man, saying you could be your own self. You can start your own business. You can start your own salon. You can open your own business. You can open up your own factory like I did. You don't got to stand behind your husband's the whole life. You don't got to be the wife. You can be the wife, but you don't have to be the arm piece, the accessory to him. You can have your own business, you know? That's why I loved how she really tried to, Madam C.J. Walker, she had her business, but she tried to help other women along the way. And her end goal was like, okay, I'm making all this money, but I'm giving it back out into the black community, into the black neighborhoods. And it shows the struggles of how men didn't really take her seriously. They didn't, you know, especially with the scene with Booker T. Washington, how she fought so hard for him to get him to the house parties, to get that endorsement from him, only for him to be like, you need to stay in your place. I liked the authenticity of the movie. I liked the sets, I liked the hair, I liked the costumes, and even in certain scenes, the furniture. And they had a thing with like the hot combs, and it was a scene where like they was like listening to a boxing match, I think, and it was like some type of machine printing out like what the man was saying. I was like, the authenticity of this movie I felt was amazing. And I really felt like I was watching it in that time period, just in color, you know? In Underwood, he played the husband. And in I like that dynamic they had. That dynamic they had was interesting because in the beginning, he was a supportive husband and he was willing to take the back seat for Madam C.J. Walker to live her dreams. Like the whole family moved just so she can start her salon, do the factory and everything like that. But eventually you would see that it caught up to him where he felt like, he didn't feel like, and peer pressure and different people in his ear and the way he would see Madam C.J. Walker taking charge, he felt like she was wearing the pants in the relationship. He was not in charge. He's supposed to be the provider. He's supposed to be the man in the household. But Madam C.J. Walker was the one making the moves. And he felt some type of way about that. And you see later on, he ended up cheating on her with a light-skinned, ambiguous looking woman who worked for Madam C.J. Walker, who ended up betraying her in the end for Addie Monroe, which was her nemesis. But seeing his progression over the 4 parts was really interesting. Now let's get into Addie Monroe, played by Carmen Ejogo. I think that's how you say her name. The way she is, I really liked how she played into that character of Addie Monroe. She know how to really be that sneaky, conniving, and really bratty and envious. She plays up that part well. She played that part really well. And it was to the point where you come to find out that Madam C.J. Walker actually stole her formula. She stole Addie Monroe's formula. But there's a scene they have where you're supposed to kind of feel bad for Addie, but you don't. Especially seeing how each of the 4 parts played out, you're supposed to feel bad for her, but you still want Madam C.J. Walker to win because of all the things that she has done to her throughout the whole 4 parts and throughout all of that time. And I like how Madam C.J. Walker brought it back for a circle to where she said, we could have been partners, but you wanted a tall, light-skinned woman. You didn't want a woman like me. We could have been making all this money together. We could have been side by side. You know, we could have been one big business, one big empire. But the colorism is the reason why you're still here and I'm up there. You know, she didn't say that, but that's basically what she was hitting at. And you couldn't do nothing. You can't feel bad for her because she was right. Now, getting to the things that really kind of threw me off in the series, I gotta say, Tiffany Haddish as the daughter. Now, I'm half and half with this because I felt like it's hard to take her seriously in dramatic roles because you so used to her being over the top and comedian. To me, she's like the female Kevin Hart. So it's kind of like when she has to play a drama role, especially a time period piece like this, it was hard to take her seriously. So I'm not gonna lie, some points in the movie it draws for emotion, and I really got that. She really convinced me of that emotion she was supposed to portray. But it's many parts where you feel like she was trying to be like girl strip Tiffany Haddish. You know, it was like you could see it coming out, but then she had to remember to draw it back because this is supposed to be the 1900s, and she was really trying to be like comedian Tiffany Haddish. Like you could feel the comedian part of her trying to push out. But you know, she went really back in, and it was many points where you could feel like you felt that like I felt like because Tiffany Haddish was Tiffany Haddish, and she's a comedian that she is, they tried to make her character of being Madam C.J. Walker's daughter a little more humorous than it should have been. I can see like if it was a Tiffany Haddish, she wouldn't have had that many, I guess you could say like funny parts. But I felt like for what it was, Tiffany Haddish did the best she could, and it really, so in certain scenes, it really did come across really nice. But other scenes, it came across like it was a little off-putting, it was a little distracting, it was a little like awkward seeing Tiffany Haddish be the daughter because she was still trying to be like that girls trip type of Tiffany Haddish. And it was like you could tell in certain scenes, it was like a fight between being dramatic and being comedic. So I feel like that's another thing Tiffany Haddish got to work on. But overall, she did do a good job. So I do applaud her on that. Adding on to the daughter, Tiffany Haddish's character, I really liked how they portrayed her relationship with women, basically like the husband, right? But how it's like the lesbian relationships she had with women. But at first they hinted towards it, but then they really, exposed it, and that's not something that's really talked about or portrayed from that time period with women, especially black women, So I really liked how they portrayed that, and over time, Madam C.J. Walker wasn't accepting of it. Then over time, she realized she had no choice. This is who her daughter is. She wanted her to have a family to continue the legacy, but she realized that she didn't need a family to continue. She didn't need a family to continue her legacy. Her daughter was fine just being her and continuing the legacy as it is. She had taught her well enough to know what to do. Another thing is, in the movie, especially in the beginning, she has a lot of hallucinations or like analogies, especially in the beginning. This like the boxing analogy. Some of the hallucinations work. Like when she sees the husband, he wanted like light-skinned, tall women, slender, skinny, light-skinned women to sell the products on bikes, and she would hallucinate and see them. But in the beginning, it was like a boxing match between her and Addie Monroe. The hallucinations kind of threw me off a little bit. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Like the boxing match, I felt like, did it really need that? No, but they still made it work in the end. Like, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Another element I felt could have been better is I feel like the series, it spent so much time focusing on like her insecurities and the negatives, and it seemed like throughout it all, we know there's a struggle with the triumph. But it seemed like you didn't really get to see Madam C.J. Walker enjoy her wealth, enjoy her triumph, enjoy the legacy, enjoy the empire that she built. You didn't really get to see her have fun and enjoy it. I feel like the series spent so much time harping on all the obstacles that they could have had moments. They missed the opportunity to show her really enjoying her wealth and enjoying what she built. You do the research behind the real story and the real Madam C.J. Walker, you realize that this was highly fictionalized, and it makes you wonder, it's like, okay, I know you had to stretch this out for 4 parts, so you got to add drama, you got to add certain elements, but it's certain things that I wish they would have kept authentic, kept to the true form of the real character, the real person. Overall, I gotta say, I really enjoyed this 4-part series. I was excited for it, and I feel like it's a really inspiring story, that Ragtag Richard story. That story that you always heard about in school. I heard about this in grade school. You might have seen a picture of her, seen a documentary of her, but this really got into the full details. And seeing it happening in color and motion, it really put into perspective what she really had to go through to be to become the millionaire she was from the washerwoman she started as. And I want to know what y'all thought about it. Did you watch it? What did you think about it? What was your favorite parts? What were your least favorite parts? What did you think about the series as a whole? And how do you think the acting was? How do you think the scenery was? How do you think the dynamics of the stories was? How well do you think they told the history? You know? Let me know in the comments. Let's get this discussion going. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can always see when I post. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see y'all in the next video.